organizers for the opportunity to speak at this very special Simba session, and particularly Rabaya for all the work to do another. I'm sure there are lots of other volunteers behind the scene also helping it. It's always a challenge to give a talk on an audience, mixed audience. There are people, beginners in research, there are people experienced researchers also. So please bear with me, and I try to take me along of the beginning researchers with me when I review some of the perhaps the known concepts. Okay. Let me start with a little bit of history. So my talk essentially will have three parts. First, I'll have the introduction and motivation, then some initial properties of Leavitt algebras, and also a little bit about ideals in GX and radical. That will be for the first lecture. Okay. One of the first theorems that so many theorems as an undergraduate is the following, so-called the dimension theorem in linear algebra. If B and B prime are two bases of a non-zero vector space containing respectively m and n vectors for a field K, then m must be equal to n. And notice that B has a basis of m vectors. This is the same thing as saying that B is a direct sum of m copies of K, or simply write as K to the m in here. So if I want to rephrase this dimension theorem, if K is a field, and if K to the m is isomorphic to K to the n, then m must be equal to n here. Okay. So the question is the dimension theorem true for rings in general? Okay. And that is, if R is a ring, and if m copies of R is isomorphic to n copies of R, consider as the left R modules, should m must be equal to n here. And rings having this property, they are called said to have a so-called IBM property, invariant basis number property here. And the answer to the question, there are many well-known rings. They have this property, like commutative rings, matrices, or real numbers, and so on here. But in general, the answer is no. One of the well-known easy examples is you consider the linear transformations of a vector, infinite dimensional vector space, to be precise, of infinite dimension F naught. And if B is a basis of vectors B to I, one for each positive integer, we can divide B as a union of vectors with odd coordinates and a set of vectors with even coordinates. And this it will give rise to the fact that B can be split isomorphic to direct sum of two copies of B here. Then with a little bit of algebra, you can see if S is the ring of linear transformation, Hom B comma B, or Hom B comma B plus B splits as Hom BB plus direct sum Hom BB, that is S is isomorphic to S direct sum S here. Then the S is isomorphic to S squared, 1 is inarticulate with 2. So this is a counter example there. Okay. Actually, this can work in general. For instance, if you take any ring with identity, if it has 4 elements, x1, y1, x2, y2, satisfying the condition that y1 x1 plus y2 x2 is 1, and x1 y1 equal to 1, x2 y2 equal to 1, and xi yj is 0 if I is not equal to j, then using presence of these elements would give rise to an isomorphism of R with R direction R as follows. You define a map F from R to R plus R, namely f of A is ay1, ay2. And G of BC, an element in the direction, is simply bx1 plus bx2. Now these two maps are inverse of each other. We can easily check them out. So indicating that R is actually isomorphic to R. Okay. So just for a notation we'll be using later, those conditions on yi, yi and xi can be compactly written as the first equation of course is summation yi xi equal to 1, I running from 1 to 2. These next two equations can be compactly written as xi yj equal to delta ij1. That is xi yj is 0 if I is not equal to j, xi yj equal to 1. If y equal to j here, so the question is, the standard ring R such that R is isomorphic to direct sum of 2 copies of R, 3 copies of R, but R is not isomorphic to the 2 copies of R. Very natural question. And Bill Leavitt, this was raised this time, answered this in a very strong way, and that is the well-known theorem of Bill Leavitt. Namely, he says that give me any pair of 2 positive integers, m and n less than n, let's say, and for every field k, there is a k algebra, which he denoted by L sub k of m comma n, with the property that R to the m is isomorphic to R to the n, but R to the m is not isomorphic to R to the k for any k between m and n here. And not only that, he said that this property is universal in the sense that if you have another ring having this similar property, it has to be isomorphic to L sub k of m comma n here. Very strong and nice, beautiful construction there. For instance, let's say in particular if you take m equal to 1 for instance, the same way that we started in the case when n equals 2, showing that R is isomorphic to R plus R, you could see in order for R to be isomorphic to direct sum of n copies of R to the n, all we need is a set of 2 n elements, x1 through xn, y1 through yn, satisfying the condition very similar to what we had when n equal to 2, namely summation yi xi equal to 1 and summation xi yj equal to delta ij 1j, namely xi yj is 0 if I is not equal to j, and xi yi equal to 1 here. Thus the algebra L of 1n defined by Leavitt is the quotient of the algebra generated by 2n variables subject to this condition, these 2 conditions here. This is the quotient of the algebra generated by those 2 variables in here. This is going to be in the background of what we are going to study. So in particular, just to emphasize what this says is that if S is this Leavitt ring, one that S would be isomorphic, S to the n, and n is minimum in the sense that S is not isomorphic, S squared or S cubed or S to the n minus 1 there. Okay. And indeed, for 2 integers a and b, S to the a is isomorphic to S to the b, but only if a is congruent to b mod n minus 1 here. So that's a kind of a background idea here. So let's start to think of some concepts in graphs, and then I'll try to try them out together here. So yeah, what's a directed graph consists of a set of vertices denoted by the symbol, set of edges, E sub 1, and 2 functions R and S. These assigns to every edge, these are functions from the edge set to the vertex set, given any edge E, the beginning vertex is denoted by S of E and called the source of E, and the ending vertex is called, denoted by R of E, called the range of E here. And a path, as intuitively you know, of say length n is a sequence of edges with the property that the end vertex of E1 must be equal to beginning vertex of E2 and so on. And in this case, diagram here, this is an example of a path of length n. A vertex is also considered as a path of length 0. And a path algebra of the graph E with coefficients in the field K is simply a K algebra generated by the set of all directed paths, including the vertices. The multiplication is concatenation. I'll explain to you in a second. If you have one path like this, and you have another path, if the end vertex of the first path is the same as the beginning vertex of the second path, you put them together. So that's a concatenation. And denote this algebra like, say, KE. And then we have the two relations satisfied by namely, given any vertex E, like in here, when you multiply this on the left by the source, given any edge E, when you multiply by this source vertex, you will get the same. Likewise, take E, multiply on the range vertex, you will simply get E. That's the first relation. And the second relation is that every vertex is an idempotent. V times V must be equal to V. And V times W is 0 if W is a vertex different from V. In other words, the vertices form a set of orthogonal idempotent. That's an extra condition satisfied by this algebra there. Okay. Just a quick example of that. So here is a graph. I have one path, say P1, which is E1, E2. Another graph, I call it P2, which is F1 up to F3. And the third graph, this one, P3 in here. So if you want to multiply P1 and P2, because the end vertex of E2 is said to get the beginning vertex of F1, the product is simply concatenation. P1, P2 is simply E1, E2 followed by F1, F2, F3. On the other hand, P2, P1, this is P2, multiplied by P1 is 0 because the end vertex of F3, that is P2, is not the beginning vertex of P1. And likewise, if you take a vertex here, multiply P1, the beginning vertex, you get P1. Likewise, P2 times V is V. On the other hand, say here the vertex U has the vertex V, U times V is 0 because they are different here. So pretty intuitively straightforward there. Okay. We also have a few more names I want to throw in at you. Given a vertex, given an edge E from U to V, we have a so-called ghost edge coming from the opposite direction, from V back to U. In here, obviously the beginning vertex of E star is V, which is the range vertex of E. And the end vertex of E star, the range of E star is U here. Okay. The same idea for a path also. If P1, P2, if P is a path, E1, E2, En, then P star is a path going in the opposite direction there. And the double graph, given a graph E, the double graph E is obtained simply by introducing a ghost edge for E star for every edge in E. For example, if you look at, here is the graph E, to get a double graph, all I need is I have an edge E from V to T, so I want to have a ghost edge from T back to V. And again, here is the loop is called I, which is from W to W. I introduce I star, which is again, of course, W to W there. And H is from W here, I have H star going backward here. So you're starting with a graph E, you construct such a double graph, and then you consider the path algebra KE. The double graph is denoted by the symbol E hat, so this KE hat in here, and then you generate an algebra satisfying this additional condition. The first condition is called CK1, because originally it was Pune and Krieger who considered such a relation. I will come back to it later on when I talk about the C-star graphs, C-star algebras. So given any two edges E and F, E star of E would be the range of E, and E star of F is 0 if F is not equal to E. That's the first condition. The second one is, suppose I have a vertex V, it sends finitely many edges here, say E1 through En, then the vertex V itself would be sum of E1, E1 star, E2, E2 star, En, En star. This is the second condition here, E2 here. So if I have a path algebra of the extended or double graph, okay, it had modulo these two conditions, CK1 and CK2, that is defined as a Leavitt path algebra. Or if you want to expand it and writing all the details, it is another way of saying the same thing. So you start with a graph E with these vertex sets, then the Leavitt path algebra of E with coefficients in K is generated by the set of all vertices Vi, which are considered as orthogonal idempotents, and set of edges and ghosty edges, E and E star, and satisfying these four conditions. First, source of E times the E equal to E, E times the range of E is E, and similarly happens for the ghost edges, and then we have the CK1 relations and the CK2 relations in here. Okay. And quick little computation, understand it. For instance, here is the graph, the original double graph. We have, for instance, here is a vertex V, it emits how many edges? Here is one edge, there is another edge. I have E, F, and G. It emits three edges here. So E star plus F star plus G star will be that vertex V. That's the condition one. And G is one edge, so G star followed by G would be equal to W there. Because G star G is the range of G, which is W. On the other hand, G star F is 0 because F is not equal to G here. And likewise, H star X is equal to W by CK1. And U emits only one edge, therefore H star would be equal to U by the CK2 relations there. On the other hand, if you just take F star, so simplification. On the other hand, F star is an idempotent. This is one of the ways of manufacturing idempotence in Leavitt path algebras. This comes in very handy and makes it a ring with lots and lots of idempotence there. Let me have some examples here. Consider the graph consists of a single line segment containing n vertices here. Now this, the Leavitt path algebra of this graph is isomorphic to the ring of matrices, n by n matrices. A quick computation, how to get it. Basically what you do, you consider the, let me just go back to this one. You consider the various paths that end in Vn. First, the entire path, which I call P1. The next, P2, we start from E2 to En minus 1, and Pn minus 1 would be En minus 1, and Pn equal to Vn. So I got n paths ending at Vn in here. Then if I consider Pi, Pj star, call it epsilon sub ij, these form a set of matrix units in the sense that epsilon ii squared is epsilon ii, epsilon ij times epsilon jk is epsilon ik here. So they form a same confusion as satisfied by the n by n matrices, eij, that eij denotes matrix with 1 at the ij position, 0 at the balance here. Now this correspondence extends to the isomorphism of the Leavitt path algebra to the matrix ring of order n in here. The same way, if you look at this example of a graph that has only one vertex and one loop, we denote the community as x here, then the Leavitt path algebra, this graph is isomorphic to the Laurent polynomial ring x as inverse here. Again, the isomorphism comes by sending v to 1, like this x to x, and x star to inverse x, x to the minus 1 in this ring here. So I have a nice examples of known rings coming out as the Leavitt path algebras. One more example. This is called the so-called graph with n roses. Fortunately, I use a software, scientific software developed on the former PhD students. It doesn't give me good graphs. It's called a scientific word. Some of you may have heard about it. So I always have a problem in drawing graphs. Is that I couldn't get it here. Anyway, here is a vertex B, and I have one. It's called a loop, starting with V, coming in here y1. Another loop, y2, and so on. Then I have n to loop y sub n. Such a graph is not, it's not elegant the way I intended, but anyway, it's called the rows with n petals here. And the Leavitt path algebra of these actually isomorphic to the Leavitt ring L1n because they satisfy the same defining relations. Summation yi xi equal to 1, summation xi yj equal to delta ij1 here. So we have some nice examples of known rings occurring as Leavitt path algebras. A quick history. Leavitt, of course, gave the construction of L1, n in 1962. In 1979, Pune gave a similar construction of the C-star algebra, here one matrices here. The relations are identical as given by Leavitt in here. Later on, Kunsen, Krieger, and others generalized the ON construction to directed graphs and produce graph C-star algebras closed over complex numbers. And what happened was in 2004, American Math Society arranged the so-called CDMS lecture series where Professor Ian Raven from New Zealand gave an overview of the topics on graph C-star algebras. It was attended by a number of algebras, and that triggered the algebraic ideas of graph C-star algebras. The algebraic analogs of these were investigated initially by Gene Abrams and colleagues, then Pere Ara, Gonzalo, Aranda Pino, and Enrique Pablo were all from Spain here. Let me give some initial properties of Leavitt path algebra. First, some quick notation. If P is a path of like 10 unity n, then the beginning vertex, the source of P, we say is simply the source of the first edge V1, E1, which is V1 here, and the range of P is simply the range of the last vertex, and this the length of P is denoted by this symbol there. Okay. Also, if P star is a corresponding ghost edge, so that you can see that it starts in the opposite direction. Again, the source of P star is Vn cross 1, range of P star is V1. And every element of a Leavitt path algebra can be conveniently written. This is very comes in handy in computation, and written in the form always. It's a scalar multiple of this called the real path, called the ghost path here. You can arrange it because if there is a term involving a star term on the left side, you could use the CK1 condition to reduce it to either a 0 or appropriate vertex here. By using the CK1 relation successively, every element in the Leavitt path algebra can be written this way here. And because B beta I star, the range of beta I star is simply the source of beta V in here, I can put a VI here, which indicating that A is actually sits inside a direct sum of copies of the rectangle. That gives us a convenient decomposition. So in other words, every Leavitt path algebra then can be decomposed as a direct sum of, we can think of as a left ideal, you want to. For every vertex V, look at the left ideal generated by V, the direct sum, which is also direct sum of the corresponding right ideals, cyclic right module, right ideal generated by various vertices here. So this is a very convenient property. Little exercise for you, those of you just want to test your understanding of this manipulation. I just want to give it a try. Namely, if you have two pairs, gamma and delta, if the gamma star of delta is not 0, then use the CK1 relation to show either gamma delta is a part of gamma, so gamma equal to delta gamma prime, or delta equal to gamma delta prime here. It will be a nice little exercise to test the understanding of these relations. The elements of the form alpha I beta I star, they are non-zero so long as the range of alpha equal to the range of alpha equal to the range of beta here, and of course they span the Leavitt path algebra, but they are not K-independent. They don't form a basis. An easy thing to think about the ZK2 relation already it indicates this relation is not, they are not independent there. One easy first result is that when will a Leavitt path algebra have a multiplicative identity, exactly when it has finite many vertices here. And in that case, the sum of these finite many vertices, when they add them up, it becomes the identity element of the Leavitt path algebra. On the other hand, if we have infinite number of vertices, then obviously it doesn't have a multiplicative identity. However, it has a nice internal property of having the so-called local units here, in the sense that given any finite set of elements A1, A2, An, there is an idempotent U, such that it acts as an identity locally. UAI equal to AI, AIU for all these n elements there. So that's really one of the desirable property of the Leavitt path algebra. In spite of the fact it doesn't have a multiplicative identity here. Now I would like to consider some nice way of constructing other Leavitt path algebras. In particular, look at the three examples, three graphs. You can see I'm out of sync in my ordering here. So here's the graph consists of single, only one vertex. Here is a graph consisting of a vertex and a loop. And finally, I have the rows graph that I wrote here. Every one of these momentarily here. This is the rows graph. Y2, Y7. And here, we already mentioned that if the Leavitt path algebra generated by a single vertex is simply isomorphic to K. If I look at it, the path algebra of this, let me call this in E. I'm sorry, I actually, the reason is that I copied this from my friend's thing, so I have to order it normally. So this is F, that is E, this graph is G here. The Leavitt path algebra of F, we noted is isomorphic to K. This we noted as isomorphic to Kx as the inverse, and this, of course, the isomorphic to the Leavitt ring. what I'm trying to say is, take this graph, you take a straight line segment of length n and attaching to them. Like for instance, if I take this, I simply take say v1, v2, vn minus 1, attach a straight line segment to this vertex. I do the same thing in here. This is my vertex, attach, and do the same in here also. This is my V where I have this. The interesting fact is the Leavitt path algebra of this is simply isomorphic to the ring of n by n matrices for K. The Leavitt path algebra is isomorphic to the n by n matrices over Kx as inverse, and here it is isomorphic to the Leavitt path algebra of that's essentially what I have to know and so it's kind of a nice way of constructing or recognizing new kind of algebras coming out of it. The same idea can be generalized actually, and it works if you take any finite graph and you simply attach to every vertex in the finite graph a straight line segment of length n. Then, yes?
Number n are same, the petals, number of petals?
Yeah. No, this is nothing to do. These two, I'm sorry, thank you. Yeah. This could be, I could have put some other number here. So it's no relation to this. Yeah. The main point is that it is the length of this attaching a straight line segment determines the order of the matrix. So that's what the more general is called. Taking a finite graph attached to every vertex, a straight line segment of length n at every vertex. Look at the new graph. What is the Leavitt path algebra? That it is simply ring of matrices over the Leavitt path algebra of the original graph in here. So it's kind of a nice, interesting way of constructing new Leavitt path algebras there. So one natural question is, well, if E and F are two graphs, if the Leavitt path algebra of E is isomorphic to Leavitt path algebra of F, should E be isomorphic to F? Very natural question. Unfortunately, the answer is no. And some easy examples are, for instance, if you take the straight line graph with three vertices, call it E3, by a previous argument we noted that this Leavitt path algebra is the having a 3 by 3 matrices over K. On the other hand, if you choose graph F3, Cartesian is still the same number of vertices, but here's the difference. You see that these two are not the same here. The middle vertex is what's called a sink. We have edges from here to here and here to here. See the difference there? This is what's called a sink here. Now, in this case, there are again three paths. The previous case there are actually three paths ending in V3. Here there is actually three paths. One is F1, we call it Q1. The other is Q2 is F2, and then Q3 is this vertex itself. Again, using the fact that QI, QJ star format, a set of matrix units, you can show that this is isomorphic to the ring of 3 by 3 matrix. So these two Leavitt path algebras are isomorphic, but these two graphs are not isomorphic. A number of ways you could verify that. One of them is here is the path of length 2. Here there is no path of length 2 here. Every path is only at most length 1 there. Okay. So it is open question under what conditions on the graph E and F B is isomorphic to LK of F here. Okay. Now, just as a real number system, Leavitt path algebra has more than one structure. It has at least 3 structures. It has a closed algebraic structure. It's a K algebra. It's a graded. It has a graded ring. That's a graded structure, and it also is a ring with involution here. And all these properties might be doing it, so they are compatible with each other here. So it's a nice mingling of structures there. One could investigate them individually as algebra itself, or as a graded algebra, as an algebraic evolution, or combinations of also. So a number of papers have been written involving some of these. I'll do some references later on. Just quickly, like how it is a graded algebra. So in order to make Leavitt pattern graded algebra, what we do, we give, we say the degree of every vertex is 0, degree of any edge is 1, degree of any ghost edge is -1 here. So if I have a path, you can extend it to general monomial uniform alpha beta star, saying degree of alpha beta star is simply the length of alpha minus the length of beta there. And given every integer n, you can define the so-called homogeneous component consisting of elements of the form summation. Remember, every element of Leavitt path algebra will be of this form. What we want is those elements, summation ki alpha I beta I star, where the degree of alpha beta star. Every one of these terms in here will degree exactly n here. They form additive subgroup, actually they form a K subspace. And they satisfy this condition. This is what we need in order to conclude that it's graded algebra, graded ring, namely L sub m times L sub n is contained in L sub m plus n. And further, the Leavitt path algebra LB decomposes is the direct sum, additive direct sum of these components here. Whenever we have a ring satisfying these two conditions, we call it a graded ring here. So the Leavitt path algebra, remember we do it for every integer n in Z, so it's called a Z graded algebra. And Professor Hazard, I'm sure, will be talking about the graded structure, the Leavitt path algebra related topics. And just a quick couple of easy observation results that we need. Namely, if R is a Z-graded ring, if I is a two-sided ideal, then we say I is a graded ideal in case if A is any element of I, because I have this direct decomposition, I can write A as summation An, where An comes from the nth homogeneous term R sub n here. So if such an element A is in I, then necessarily each component An must be in I in order for I to be a graded ideal. Or equivalently, equivalently, I decomposes the direct sum of I intersection the homogeneous components there. That's a quick example, and I start to give a non-example. Namely, look at the Leavitt path algebra of this graph. One vertex and one loop, and that we know is isomorphic to the Laurent polynomial ring Kx inverse here. And of course, this is graded by decomposing L as the direct sum of L sub n. What is L sub n here? It is simply the power x to the n multiplied by various scalars. And this is a graded ring. But if you take any ideal, I just took one, but you can choose any proper ideal. This is easy to visualize it. Say generated 1 plus x. 1 plus x is in I, but this decomposition, the homogeneous decomposition, the corresponding 1 is not in I, that is for proper ideal, and the x is not in I, because x is again a unit here. Indeed, you see that 0 is the only proper graded ideal. Take any other, recognizing this, it's a principal ideal domain. So very ideal generated by a single polynomial, so it's a proper ideal. The generator would be a polynomial with a non-zero constant term, so you should be able to recognize that it can be created by the same argument there. But an important way of getting graded ideal is take any set of vertices, then the ideal generated by those will always be a graded ideal. Here, Professor Mugi Kanuni will be talking about ideal properties of ideal graded ideals in the path algebra later on in this session. But I'd like to use one important property, namely every non-zero graded ideal in the Leavitt path algebra always contains a vertex here. And that's a very important property. So using that, you will be able to answer the question, what can you say about the Jacobson radical of the Leavitt path algebra? That's one of the important ideas in a ring here. Well, the answer is easy so long as you accept Bergman's difficult theorem. Bergman proved that, George Bergman, if R is a graded ring, then the Jacobson radical of R is always a graded ideal ring here. But now you can easily guess the answer because of this property. Because in the Leavitt path algebra case, a graded ideal will always contain a vertex. So, if you look at the Jacobson radical of a Leavitt path algebra, then if it is being graded, it has to contain a vertex here, which is an idempotent. So you could see that Jacobson radical of a ring cannot contain a non-zero idempotent here, unless it's zero here. So this shows that the Jacobson radical of Leavitt path algebra is always zero. That leads to nice simplification later on when you talk about some structured theorems for Leavitt path algebra. I'll point out later on one of the talks in here. Now I talked about the graded structure. Let's talk about the involutive structure here. Again, this brings in a nice property of Leavitt path algebra, as you will see in a few moments here. We can make the Leavitt path algebra as a ring with involution star by defining, of course, it has to be a map from a star from the algebra as follows. Given any vertex B, you define B star of E is B. And given any edge E, E star is simply the ghost edge E star that we already have used. And of course, E star of star we define as E here, so it's involution. And given any path P equal to E1 into En, then P star would be En star, same thing. So the involve P star is simply, we are using the star for a ghost path or also for the involution. Fortunately, they both agree here. And I'm given any two paths alpha and beta. Alpha plus beta star is simply alpha star plus beta star. And alpha beta star, alpha beta product of star is simply beta alpha star. It changes. So if A is an arbitrary element of the Leavitt path algebra of the form summation Ki alpha I beta I star, then A star is simply summation Ki beta I alpha I star. Because when you put beta I star, you get beta I here, and this switches because of that property. And this gives rise to a very nice property of Leavitt path algebra, namely, if E is an arbitrary graph, K is a field, then the map phi which sends any element Ki alpha I beta I star to the corresponding star, summation beta alpha I star, is a K-linear involution of LKE, and this induces a K algebra isomorphism from the Leavitt path algebra the opposite operation, from A times B times A, that's the operation. And isomorphing these two, actually as algebras, these two are isomorphic. And one of the important consequences of this is that Leavitt path algebra is always left-right symmetric, which is very convenient, which will make us, oh, what happened? Which make us, I'm almost finishing also, make us, I can just write on the board. Similar here. Which make it when you talk about ideals, particularly one-sided ideals of Leavitt path algebra. Many times, non-commutative rings, they are always very careful. Say left ideal or right ideal, and some properties may hold for left, but not the other. So because of the isomorphism of so what happens? So it is left-right symmetric. So in the sense that, for instance, if I'll call it L for short, okay, so easy for me. So if L is, say, left Artinian, satisfy descending chain condition on left ideals, if and only if you say L is right Artinian. So likewise, if it satisfies ascending chain condition on left ideals, automatically it will satisfy descending chain condition on right ideals here. Okay. And likewise, L is the left self-injective, because in general non-commutative ring, these are all independent properties here. Whereas here, nice coincidence of these together. L may be, say, left self-injective, if or only if L is right self-injective, or L is left primitive. I mean, in non-computing, there's always this bothersome thing. L left may hold, but not on the right. But because of this, we could be sloppy. I can simply say L is a primitive ring, or L is a self-injective ring. Leavitt path algebra, I can get away with that. Because of the nice left-right symmetry of it. Okay. And I think I may pretty much stop for the moment. Just as for those of you who are beginners, just think about here is a question. When will a Leavitt path algebra be a commutative ring? Give some thought to it. Under what conditions? On the graph, the Leavitt path algebra, in other words, A times B would be equal to B times A. If you think graphically, it's almost immediate, but it will be a good test of your okay. So with that, let me stop. Thank you.
Proof among the results, Leavitt path algebra is not to matrix ring.
Yeah.
But matrix ring is not commutative.
Yeah.
But Leavitt path, how can I expect it to be commutative?
Under what condition? You have to define. That's what my question was. Give a condition on the graph under which it becomes a commutative ring. And obviously that graph is not a candidate. There may be some other property. If you think about it, it just comes out very easily.
That is a necessary condition, of course.
Yeah.
Cannot.
If you think about even our CK1, CK2 conditions, it just drops out. Okay. We can talk about it maybe in the next meeting. And there's also a, by the way, I'm sure, tutorial session, right? So we can chat about that.
Two graph algebras were isomorphic, but the graphs were not.
Yeah.
In that example, the graphs as non-directed and without you drop the orientation, they're isomorphic. So are there examples where the graphs themselves are quite different? And I mean, as undirected graphs, they're isomorphic, right?
Undirected, yeah. Or we only, in this case, we only deal with.
No, so but is there some example where as undirected graphs, they're not isomorphic, but still the graph algebra?
So you mentioned one lemma that the Leavitt path algebra has an identity if and only if the set of vertices is finite. So this is just to recollect that this statement is true in general for path algebra, is it? Not necessarily.
No, because you.
I guess so.
Path algebra, yes, because you have E star, yes. Yes, for a finite, yeah, correct, yeah, it's a good observation.
Algebra?
Not much actually done on Leavitt path that they are considering as a ring with involution. The only paper that I know that appeared, which of course I'm selling myself on that, is when Leavitt path algebra, and it's a paper by Gonzalo and Pune, Wash and myself, where when it is kind of a star phenomenon, it's only property So actually, that's one of these lacking. I mean, this theory is very young. We'll talk about it later on. Everything started by looking at the graph C-star algebras. In my opinion, the C-star algebras acted more like algebras than analysts. And they come up with all nice, some I'm going to talk about later in my lectures. Many of these graph conditions, everything were done by them, or C-star algebras. And we kind of copied it initially as algebras. And then later on, now slowly we are getting into machine, trying to get more interesting, really honest to good algebraic properties of the algebra. So not much. But before that reminds me, you notice that all these, poor field K, I never even bothered to say anything about it. It doesn't matter whatever result you say. The K seems to be simply silent witness, whether it is an infinite field or a finite field, characteristic 0, characteristic E, nothing seems to matter at all. All these results are field independent. However, that's related to your question. If you look at it as a grade, as a star, ring with involution, then in that case, that paper I mentioned, the field has got to be we have to play a role over there. Okay. It has to be a so-called real closed field. Those conditions have to be put over there.
Kunst algebra is simple, always, right? So is there
I'm going to talk about it.
Okay.
The next talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question was, is there a class of these algebras which are simple and maybe the proof of Kunst algebra?
It will be completely described. This can be completely.
The second one is that if I look at those graphs and I consider the groupoid of paths, then how far are these Leavitt algebras from the groupoid C-star algebras in a certain case?
Professor Lisa Clark is going to talk about it in her talk next week. Remember, we are just slowly beginning. Yeah, that's a very nice question. Great, it's good, very natural.
And the last one is more like a comment than a question. So the question you asked is that if two Leavitt algebras are isomorphic, then can we expect the graphs are isomorphic? I think good question, or because there are groupoids involved now in C-star algebras, the question can be the following: that if the graphs are Morita equivalent in groupoid sense, then are their algebras equivalent in Morita equivalent sense? And does the converse hold? So is there any work done on this?
Yeah, Morita equivalence of Leavitt path algebras, yes. We have some special processes there that can be, one of them is called the easy liberalization, which are about later on also.
Okay.
So these are some of the natural evolving questions in start the theory there. So those are really good questions.
So is there some reference about this Morita equivalence?
Yeah, I'm going to give that. Fortunately, this
Okay.
read off. So, and also I will be distributing some copies of these slides, not exactly, almost the same as notes. Then you will have some references also included, so you will get that.
Thank you.
So this is sort of reminiscent of two torsion in the Brow group or something. Is there a tensor product on this? And,
Tensor product of Leavitt path algebras are being considered, but not much has been done. For instance, one of the questions is, I think again from C-star algebra point of view, like the O2, whether tensor product or if you have a tensor product of two Leavitt path algebras, can we realize it as a Leavitt path algebra? It's not known. And initially for O2, I think for a C-star algebra it is true, but not for Leavitt path algebra. But as a general question, no, it has not been answered. Ring properties, which are characterized by various graph properties, and how actually you could see get a sense of how Leavitt path algebras really have become and have potential to become tools in constructing an example. So one of the always problems in investigating theory, you need lots of examples, and whether there are working problems, or the counter example, or examples, you see that Leavitt path algebra turns out to be great tools. So all you need is manipulate some graphs. Once you get adept on it, you see it's a real fun. Hopefully many of you get a hang of that. Okay. Just a quick reminder what we did was, so the Leavitt path algebra of a graph. So if E is a graph consisting of the set of vertices denoted by E upper 0, edges E upper 1, then the Leavitt path algebra of the graph E with coefficients in K is the algebra generated by the set of vertices which will be pairwise orthogonal idempotents, and the set of edges and ghost edges, which we denote by E and E star for various edge E, and they satisfy the following condition. The source of an edge times the edge is E, the E times the range vertex is also E, and similar thing for the ghost edge. And then these are the really interesting relations. Namely, the CK1 relation says that if I have two edges EI and EJ, EI star times EI would be the end vertex of EI. On the other hand, EI starts and EJ is 0. This kills it. This is the one which simplifies the expressions in the path algebra many times. And the CK2 relation says that if a vertex emits a finite number, at least one or finitely many edges, even into VF, then this summation EI star, as I runs from 1 to n, it collapses to the vertex V. Okay? We also noted that Leavitt path algebra L sub KE decomposes as a direct sum of this left ideal generated by vertices is also a direct sum of the right ideal generated by the various vertices. And we noted that if there are only finite number of vertices, then the graph is a ring with identity, and if there are infinitely many of them, then the Leavitt path algebra is a ring with local units. Okay? And finally, the Jacobson radical of a Leavitt path algebra is 0. Now we would like to have some more graphical terms before I proceed here. Just a quick run through all them in here. If I have a direct graph, a vertex is called a sink if it does not emit any edges. It's called a regular vertex if it emits only at least one but finitely many edges. And of course, if it's an infinite emitter, as the word already indicates, it emits infinitely many edges in here. And if they have a graph that every vertex emits only finitely many, at most finitely many edges, we call it a row finite graph. Okay? A quick run through some examples here. So look at this graph. You could see that in this case V1 doesn't emit any. So V1 is a sink, V7 is also a sink here. They just my own convenient notation here. This simply being there are infinite number of edges coming out of V5. So it's an infinite emitter. And all the other vertices, they emit only finitely many, they are all regular vertices there. Okay? A path is called closed. It's a common, normal, intuitive meaning. If the path mu is U1, E2, En is closed, means the end vertex of En equal to the beginning vertex of E1. The range of En must be to the source of E1. Let us say V. In that case, we say this path is based on the vertex. On the other hand, there are subclasses of these. Path is going to be simple if it does not cross itself from the base vertex here. See, for instance, I have a vertex B, is 1, if I have one more like that, for instance, this is not simple. They have a, I mean, think of the graph as going through this and then going through that, go through the same vertex. The beginning vertex, say it is not a simple. And a path is said to be a cycle if does not pass through any of the vertices twice. Okay. Like for instance, the easiest example, take the infinitesimal here's the vertex B, it goes through, it kind of crosses, and this is not a loop here, then I'm thinking of, thus I have a vertex here, like that. Okay? So here is one, it also crosses again once more here, so it is not a cycle. So for a cycle, essentially, it doesn't cross at all. Look at these examples in here. See, for instance, this round, let's assume it starts from here, it goes around, it comes back. So it's a closer path, but it is not a cycle here. On the other hand, this is a cycle, because it goes through, it doesn't cross at all. And this path is not a simple path. And you say, it goes through this, and then it goes through that. I mean, you have to define a path, but you see what you do. An exit for a path, say if the path is evenly to En, is another edge, like in this example F. See, here is the path, and F is an exit. It is not part of the path here. Okay. So it's an exit whose source is the same, but the range of the edge is not equal to any of those vertices on the path in that. And again, recall we noted that if I have a straight line segment path, then the Leavitt path algebra of the length n, then the Leavitt path algebra, not length n. In this case, excuse me, go back. The previous one, you can see how did we conclude this, because we counted the number of paths that end in the last vertex, En here. And those are, as we noted earlier, P1 is the entire path, P2 starts from E2, and so on, and Pn minus 1 is simply this edge, and Pn is Bn. And then we noted that Pi, Pj star, they form a matrix, set of matrix units, and that induces an isomorphism of the path algebra to the matrix way. We also want you to recognize that this graph has no cycle, so there is nothing coming back in here. And further, it has exactly, or slowly brainwash you into these terms, exactly one sink. Okay. So there is one sink, there are no cycles, and there are exactly n paths that end at that sink here. These are the characteristics of manufacturing a matrix right here. So the same idea can be generalized to get a proposition. For instance, if E is a finite graph, contains no cycles, suppose it has exactly, say, T number of sinks. And suppose that each sink V sub I, there are exactly n sub I number of paths ending at it, then the Leavitt path algebra decomposes as the direct sum of these T number of matrix ranks, m sub I ni of k, that n sub I is the number of distinct paths ending in the sink V sub I here. So there's a very convenient, nice construction here. So our first question is, now we're going to look at the various ring theoretical properties that you could get by manipulating the graph properties. First question, under what conditions the Leavitt path algebra will satisfy descending chain condition or ascending chain condition on one side of the radius? As I mentioned earlier, it could be sloppy here. I didn't need to say left ideal or right ideal, so long as, if it happens to one side, it always the property will hold the other side. But you see immediately from the known property of the path algebra, because it decomposes as a direct sum, let's say left, of this many ideals. So for every vertex V, we have this left ideal. So L is the direct sum of that. So if it's going to satisfy ascending or descending chain condition, necessarily this cannot be infinite. Then you have a big large chain you can generate here. So if the chain condition hold on one side of it, then necessarily that can only be finitely many vertices because of this decomposition. Not only that, if a vertex V emits infinitely many edges, let's say E sub n for various non-negative or positive integers n, then this set En times En star is always idempotent. Just in case you are not sure, just think about it. En star followed by En star, you see, is again En star. It's an idempotent. And these are orthogonal. They kill each other. Therefore, they would generate an infinite direct sum of left as well as right ideal. That will again give rise to infinite chains of left ideals or right ideals here. So, what we conclude is that if a chain condition, either ascending or descending chain condition holds in a left path algebra, necessarily the graph must be finite in the sense that it has finite number of vertices and finite number of edges here. So with that in background, now it's a very easy thing to answer the question. It was namely, suppose E is an arbitrary graph, then the following conditions are equivalent. Let's say it satisfies descending chain condition or left ideal, then that is equivalent to saying that it's a direct sum of finitely many matrix rings, which is equivalent to saying the graph is finite and it contains no cycles here. Okay? Now the condition 1 implies 2 is pretty obvious, many of us know, because if you have a ring whose Jacobs radical is 0, and it is going to satisfy descending chain condition, we know by Wedderburn's theorem, the ring decomposes as a direct sum of finitely many matrices, so pretty obviously. So no left path algebra, no graph argument needed here. On the other hand, if it is a direct sum of finitely many matrix rings, it necessarily has a finite k dimension as a vector space over k. This would imply that the graph cannot contain a cycle, because if it contains a cycle, then if you look at the various integral powers of the cycle C, they form a k-independent set of elements, so the k dimension of L would be infinite, contrary to the fact that L is a direct, it has finite k dimension there. So it has to be a finite graph and no cycles. And then 3 implies 1 comes out from the previous proposition that we noted here. So pretty easy, you can dismiss this immediately. Likewise, if it satisfies the ascending chain condition, again comes out easily, namely in that case the graph must be finite, that we know already, and no cycle in this graph can have an exit. Why so? Because I'll just point out the main idea and giving the references so you can look up that later. So because if suppose a graph contains a cycle C, if there is an exit F, and just a quick reminder, exit means what? Again, if this is the thing, so I have an additional thing coming. So this is the cycle C, and if it has an additional an exit F coming out of it, then automatically you get an infinite ascending chain. This chain of left ideals generated by V minus CC star. When C is a cycle, it based at the vertex V, and this is in this diagram. This is the vertex V. Then these left ideals, L times V minus CC star, is strictly contained. The strict containment comes because of the exit here. So to show that the containment is strict, you really use this argument. So I have an infinite ascending chain. That's not possible here. So the no cycle has an exit in here. So in that case, very similar to the proposition that we noted you could show that the ring, so if you look at all the cycles without exits and all the sinks, WI we know if we call that ideal generated by the sinks, for each I is become a matrix denoted, and likewise for each J, if I have a cycle without exit base at Bj, the ideal generated by that vertex will be isomorphic to a matrix ring over a tail that's inverse here.
So is it right? I mean that L is direct sum Mi Nik plus L, or
I'm
just
sorry, yeah, that's
is an extra?
That's, my two-finger typing many times creates complication.
direct
You
sum
see,
of
but I meant to warn you that in the other occasion you'll see that sometimes my fingers lightweight hits the wrong key there. So bear with me if you see something. In fact, there will be a couple more. This is not the only one, which is later on. By then it was too late, so I changed it. Next, what I want to do, this is what I really want to my PR act talk about is why one should study Leavitt path algebra. My main point is that because you could construct examples. And all it takes is simple graph property, and you get bunch of algebras of various different algebraic properties there. So my aim in this talk is to convince you. Just a quick reminder what we gave us. So the Leavitt path algebra of a graph. So if E is a graph consisting of the set of vertices denoted by E upper 0, edges E upper 1, then the Leavitt path algebra of the graph E with coefficients in K is the algebra generated by the set of vertices which will be pairwise orthogonal idempotents, and the set of edges and ghost edges, which we denote by E and E star for various edge E, and they satisfy the following condition. The source of an edge times the edge is E, the E times the range vertex is also E, and similar thing for the ghost edge. And then these are the really interesting relations. Namely, the CK1 relation says that if I have two edges EI and EJ, EI star times EI would be the end vertex of EI. On the other hand, EI starts and EJ is 0. This kills it. This is the one which simplifies the expressions in the path algebra many times. And the CK2 relation says that if a vertex emits a finite number, at least one or finitely many edges, even into EF, then this summation EI star, as I runs from 1 to n, it collapses to the vertex V. Okay? We also noted that Leavitt path algebra L sub KE decomposes as a direct sum of this left ideal generated by vertices is also a direct sum of the right ideal generated by the various vertices. And we noted that if there are only finite number of vertices, then the graph has is a ring with identity, and if there are infinitely many of them, then the class there's a ring with local units. Okay? And finally, the Jacobson radical of an algebra is 0. Now we would like to have some more graphical terms before I proceed here. Just a quick run through all them in here. If I have a direct graph, a vertex is called a sink. If it does not emit any edges, it's called a regular vertex. If it emits only at least one but finitely many edges, and of course, if it's an infinite emitter, as the word already indicates, it emits infinitely many edges in here. And if we have a graph where every vertex emits only finitely many, at most finitely many edges, we call it a row finite graph. Okay? A quick run through some examples here. So look at this graph. You could see that in this case V1 doesn't emit any. So V1 is a sink, V7 is also a sink here. They just my own convenient notation here. This simply being there are infinite number of edges coming out of V5. So it's an infinite emitter. And all the other vertices they emit only finitely many, they are all regular vertices there. Okay. A path is called closed. It's a common normal intuitive meaning. If the path mu is u1 e2 en is closed means the end vertex of en equal to the beginning vertex of e1. The range of en must be to the source of e1. Let us say v. In that case, we say this path is based on the vertex v there. On the other hand, there are subclasses of these. Path is going to be simple if it does not cross itself from the base vertex here. See, for instance, I have a vertex B, is one. If I have one more like that, for instance, this is not simple. They have that. I mean, think of the graph as going through this and then going through that. Go through the same vertex. The beginning vertex, say it is not a simple. And a path is going to be a cycle if does not pass through any of the vertices twice. Okay. And for instance, the easiest example, take the infinitesimal here. Here's the vertex B. It goes through, it kind of crosses. And this is not a loop here, then I'm thinking of thus I have a vertex here, like that. Okay? So here is one, it also crosses again once more here, so it is not a cycle. So for a cycle, essentially, it doesn't cross at all. Look at these examples in here. See, for instance, this graph, let's assume it starts from here, it goes around, it comes back. So it's a closer path, but it is not a cycle here. On the other hand, this is a cycle, because it goes through, it doesn't cross at all. And this path is not a simple path. And you say, it goes through this, and then it goes through that. I mean, you have to define the path, but you see intuitively what it means there. And an exit for a path, say if the path is E1, E2, En, is another edge, like in this example, F. See, here is the path, and F is an exit. It is not part of the path here. Okay. So it's an exit whose source is the same, but the range of the edge is not equal to any of those vertices on the path there. And again, recall we noted that if I have a straight line segment path, then the Leavitt path algebra of the length n, then the Leavitt path algebra, not length n. In this case, excuse me, go back. The previous one, you can see how did we conclude this, because we counted the number of paths that end in the last vertex, En here. And those are, as we noted earlier, P1 is the entire path, P2 starts from E2, and so on, and Pn minus 1 is simply this edge, and Pn is Vn. And then we noted that Pi, Pj star, they form a matrix, set of matrix units, and that induces an isomorphism of the path algebra to the matrix way. We also want you to recognize that this graph has no cycle. See, there is nothing coming back in here. And further, it has exactly, or slowly brainwash you into these terms, exactly one sink. Okay. So there is one sink, there are no cycles, and there are exactly n paths that end at that sink here. These are the characteristics of manufacturing a matrix ring here. So the same idea can be generalized to get a proposition. For instance, if E is a finite graph, contains no cycles, suppose it has exactly, say, T number of sinks. And suppose that each sink V sub I, there are exactly n sub I number of paths ending at it, then the Leavitt path algebra decomposes as a direct sum of these T number of matrix rings, m sub I ni of k, that n sub I is the number of distinct paths ending in the sink V sub I here. So there's a very convenient, nice construction here. So our first question is, now we're going to look at the various ring theoretical properties that you could get by manipulating the graph properties. First question, under what conditions the Leavitt path algebra will satisfy descending chain condition or ascending chain condition on one-sided radius? As I mentioned earlier, it could be sloppy here. I didn't need to say left ideal or right ideal, so long as if it happens to one side, it always the property will hold the other side. But you see immediately from the node property of the Leavitt path algebra, because it decomposes as a direct sum, let's say left, of this many ideals. So for every vertex V, you have this left ideal, so L is a direct sum of that. So if it's going to satisfy ascending or descending chain condition, necessarily this cannot be infinite. Then you have a big large chain you can generate here. So if the chain condition hold on one side radius, necessarily that can only be finitely many vertices because of this decomposition. Not only that, if a vertex V emits infinitely many edges, let's say E sub n for various non-ideal or positive integers n, then this set En times En star is always idempotent. Just in case you are not sure, just think about it. En star followed by En star, you see, is again En star. It's an idempotent. And these are orthogonal. They kill each other. Therefore, they would generate an infinite direct sum of left as well as right ideal. That will again give rise to infinite chains of left ideals or right ideals here. So, what we conclude is that if a chain condition, either ascending or descending chain condition holds in a Leavitt path algebra, necessarily the graph must be finite in the sense that it has finite number of vertices and finite number of edges here. So with that in background, now it's a very easy thing to answer the question. Namely, suppose E is an arbitrary graph, then the following conditions are equivalent. Let's say it satisfies descending chain condition or left ideal, then that is equivalent to saying that it's a direct sum of finitely many matrix rings, which is equivalent to saying the graph is finite and it contains no cycles here. Okay? Now the condition 1 implies 2 is pretty obvious, many of us may know, because we have a ring whose Jacobson radical is 0, and it is going to satisfy descending chain condition, we know by Wedderburn's theorem. The ring decomposes as a direct sum of finitely many matrices, so pretty obviously. So no Leavitt path algebra, no graph argument needed here. On the other hand, if it is a direct sum of finitely many matrix rings, it necessarily has a finite k dimension as a vector space over k. This would imply that the graph cannot contain a cycle, because if it contains a cycle, then if you look at the various integral powers of the cycle C, they form a k-independent set of elements, so the k dimension of L would be infinite, contrary to the fact that L is a direct, it has finite k dimension there. So it has to be a finite graph and no cycles. And then 3 implies 1 comes out from the previous proposition that we noted here. So pretty easy, you can dismiss this immediately. Likewise, if it satisfies the ascending chain condition, again sums out easily, namely In that case, the graph must be finite, that we know already, and no cycle in this graph can have an exit. Why so? Because I'll just point out the main idea and giving the references so you can look up that later. Well, so because if suppose a graph contains a cycle C, if there is an exit F, and just a quick reminder, exit means what? Again, if this is a thing, so I have an additional thing coming. So this is a cycle C, and if it has an additional an exit F coming out of it, then automatically you get an infinite ascending chain. This chain of left ideals generated by V minus CC star. C is a cycle, it based at the vertex V, and this is in this diagram, this is the vertex V. Then these left ideals, L times V minus CC star, is strictly contained. The strict containment comes because of the exit here. So to show that the containment is strict, you really use this argument. So I have an infinite ascending chain. That's not possible here. So the no cycle has an exit in here. So in that case, very similar to the proposition that we noted, you could show that the ring. So if you look at all the cycles without exits and all the sinks, WI we know, if we call that ideal generated by the sinks, for each I, this become a matrix denoted, and likewise for each J, if I have a cycle without exit based at Bj, the ideal generated by that vertex will be isomorphic to a matrix ring over a pair that's inverse here.
So isn't it, I mean, that L is direct sum MNIK plus L, or
I'm sorry, yeah,
is
that's
an extra?
my two-finger typing many times creates
So
complication.
it's
You see,
direct
but I meant to warn you. Then in the other occasion, you'll see that sometimes my fingers lightweight hits the wrong key there. So bear with me if you see something. In fact, there will be a couple more. This is not the one you want to notice later on. But it was too late, so I can change it. Next, what I want to do, this is what I really want to my PR act talk about is why one should study Leavitt path algebra. My main point is that because you could construct examples. And all it takes is simple graph property, and you get bunch of algebras of various different algebraic properties there. So my aim in this talk is to convince you by giving you some examples of that kind. Okay. And more importantly is that a single graph property, it gives rise to a variety of ring property. As rings, they are all independent, but as Leavitt path algebra, they all coincide here. So constructing examples is so easy of a certain desirable ring properties there. Okay. So I'm going to illustrate it, depending on my time, these 2 or 3 of these graph properties and what sort of a ring property they imply here. Okay. So let me start with the first property of, suppose the graph is acyclic, means there are no cycles in the graph. Okay. I will show how the Leavitt path algebra satisfies the ring properties here. So let me first of all quickly remind you some other ring properties. Many of you may know that, so bear with me, you know it already. For instance, suppose all these ring numbers have an identity. We say this of a non-integral ring if given any element A, there is an element B, so that A equal to A times B times A in here. A ring is going to be pi regular. It's very similar. I mean, if for every A, the nth power of A has this property. Maybe there is a positive integer n and an element B, so that A to the n equal to A to the n, B, A to the n here. And one more ring property. A ring is said to be a clean ring. it contains an identity, and every element is a sum of a unit, an idempotent E and a unit, a two-sided inverse in here. There is also some specialization of this clean property. If these two, the left hand is generated by A and the section the left hand generated by this idempotent is 0, it's called a special clean ring, and it's said to be a strongly clean ring if A and U are the commuting here. So these are as if ring property, these are all independent here, but you see that if you assume the graph has that one property, that there are no cycles, then you can see that the red path algebra must be phenomenological, it must be pi-regular, it will be ultra-matricial, that is, it's a directed union of directions of finitely many matrix rings, and it's a directed union of subrings, each one of them is unit, strongly clean rings, which are also very special here. What's the main working key idea is that if there is a cycle in a graph, say cycle C, this is a vertex V, then this element V plus C cannot have a phenomenal index. In other words, you can never find an element B such that V plus C times B times V plus C gives you V plus C. So the cycle, presence of cycles prevents that. That's a key idea. The other thing, of course, that we walk through the details here. The references are there, so you can look that. Okay. The next, the property of a graph satisfying condition K. Again, these ideas are given by graphs which are algebraized. They work very intensively using some of these properties. Okay. The condition K, in some sense, is the opposite of having no cycles here. Because condition K simply says, if I may, suppose I have a cycle here, what the condition K says that, well, this vertex is in this cycle, therefore there must be a cycle. One more different. This vertex in this cycle, therefore there must be one more cycle. So for every one of these vertices, there must be more cycles. Now, this cycle may have a vertex W, because it is on that, then it must be. You see the idea? So you have lots and lots of, if there is one vertex sitting on one cycle, and for every vertex on that, that must be a part of another cycle. So there are lots of one cycle, the vertex sitting on one cycle leads to many ideas in here. And more precisely, this is what it says. Its condition K means for every vertex V, whenever V lies on a closed path, then V lies on another closed path. C prime not equal to C in here. It's one of those simple examples. I don't even know examples like that. Okay. Again, we'll show that this single graph condition will imply different ring properties of the Leavitt path algebra. So let me remind you some of those ring properties. A ring is said to be it's called an exchange ring. Sometimes it's called a finite exchange ring or having finite exchange property. If, let's say, it's a left module, same thing works for right also. Again, remember, Leavitt path algebra could be swapped left or right as a matter. Property that if there is a module M, and if M is a direct sum of copies of R and a complement, M prime, and at the same time, if M decomposes as a direct sum of, say, finitely many other submodules, M prime, then necessarily there will be submodules Mi prime from inside M sub I, such that the direct sums of these M sub I prime will be a complement of R. So you can choose a complement. You can exchange M prime for this completed here. So that is the exchange property. There are equivalent conditions of exchange property, element-wise conditions, but I'm not going to go into that. I just want to recognize that some easy examples are any for non-integral ring as an exchange property, and integral domain is an exchange property exactly when it's a local domain here. So in particular, for instance, our friend LXX inverse, it does not have an exchange property because it's an integral domain, so principal integral domain is not a local domain there. Another property is the ring is said to be an idempotent ring if, as the word suggests, given any left or say right item, I squared must be equal to I. Now this is also called a weakly regular ring, and which element-wise it means given any element A, there is an element X in the two-sided idea generated by A, so that A equal to XA if it is left, or A equal to AX if it is the right weakly regular field. Again, these are independent properties. For instance, a simple ring with identity is weakly regular. The ring of all fractions, M over N, where the denominator is odd, is an exchange ring because it's a local ring, but it is not, I'm sorry, cut off here at the bottom, but it is not right weakly regular because it's an integral domain. An integral domain cannot be right weakly regular unless it's a field. But if you look at the Leavitt path algebra of graph satisfying condition K, this is done with a joint number of people together. Then the graph, I mean, the reason why there are a bunch of people, first they prove for low finite graph, then it extended to an arbitrary graph. So more ways there. So it satisfies condition K if and only if it is an exchange ring, and if and only if it's a right weakly regular. Again, you see that a single property gives rise to more than one property, and this is the property that's very useful, and that Professor Muni may be talking about later today, that every two-sided ideal is always graded, which is a very convenient thing, because the graded ideals are always well behaved than the non-graded ideals in Leavitt path. And for as another example, I look at our rose with n petals. The one with those, which is we know the Leavitt path algebra of that is isomorphic to the Leavitt ring. Now of 1 comma n, it will be an exchange ring because it satisfies condition K here. So it comes off cheaply without any effort there. Another condition L is slightly weaker than condition K. So these are some of the defining graph properties which in the investigation of Leavitt path algebra play a key role there. So those two are two important graph property. Graph is said to be conditional is every cycle has an exit. So every one of them should have an exit over there. The condition K always implies condition L. So for instance, in this case, condition K satisfies this vertex. You can think of that as an exit for this cycle, yeah, for instance. But not conversely. And again, you can easily describe a graph satisfying condition L if and only if it is sometimes called a zone ring, sometimes called an I ring, with the property that every non-right ideal or left ideal contains a non-zero idempotent. There's also an interesting property, namely, given any element A, it is the Von-Neumann inverse of another element. In other words, given any element A, there is a B, element B, so that BAB equal to B here. Again, generates some idempotency here. Just a little exercise. construct an example of a path algebra, which is a zone ring, which is not an exchange ring. Very easy exercise. You can give it a try. Then I would like to just remind you about, let's say, when the path algebra is a prime ring, when is a primitive ring here. And a quick reminder, ring is said to be a prime ring if 0 is the prime ideal. That is, if A and B are two non-zero ideal, then the product must be non-zero. Or equivalently, given any two elements A and B, if A is not equal to 0 and B is not equal to 0, then A times the ring R times B cannot be 0. And ring is said to be primitive again. We don't need to specify left or right, even though as ring they are independent properties. It's a left, let's say left primitive ring. Then there exists a simple left R module S, which is faithful. That is, the annihilator of S in R is 0. No non-zero element can show this simple module there. Okay? Of course, the primitive property always implies the prime property. Any primitive ring is always a prime ring, but not conversely. The natural question is under what conditions a path algebra is a prime ring, when it is a primitive ring. Again, a simple graph property is the following. Namely, a set of vertices in a graph is said to be downward directed if given any two vertices. So if I have a vertex U and if I have a vertex V, then there must be a vertex W and a path ending in this and also this. So given any two vertices and the third vertex and the paths connecting U to V, W and V to W here. One of the results is that if E is the rigid graph, then the level path algebra is a prime ring, even only if the set of vertices E0 is downward directed, namely, is this property. And just one way, it's such an easy argument, just want to point out how you get it, but you get a flavor for the argument. Well, suppose it's a prime ring. I want to show that if I have two different vertices, U and V, I need to show that, I'm sorry, if I have two non-zero elements, U and V, I would like to show that U and V is not zero here. But because every element in our path algebra is a linear combination of elements of this form, scalar multiple of that form, in particular this would imply that is that the one path alpha and the path beta, so that U alpha beta star V is not zero. Because U and V is not zero, and there is one element there, we take one term of the element here. But what does this mean? If this is not zero means that alpha beta star is not zero, that means the range of alpha must be the range of beta. I mean, source of beta star, which is the range of beta, and let's say it's W here. And secondly, because it is not zero, U times alpha not zero means source of alpha is U. Beta star times V is not zero means range of beta star is V, but range of beta star is same thing as source of beta. So which means, really, alpha it starts with V, and this is the range of alpha. And beta starts with, alpha starts with U, and beta starts with V, ends with the same W here. Therefore, this is W direct. So pretty straightforward argument here, and we have the compensation. And let me describe when the path algebra is a primitive ring. I mentioned this going into details here because you see how this helps to answer one of the difficult questions. as earlier on the complexity. A ring graph is said to have the countable separation property, means there is a countable set of vertices so that every vertex u connects to some vertex in this subset. And the theorem says that Leavitt path algebra is primitive ring if and only if it's a prime ring, therefore this set of vertices is interacted. It means that every cycle has an exit condition L, and this CSP condition must hold. And again, as I mentioned earlier, K doesn't seem to play any role in these results. I'd like to have one more property, if I may. A ring is said to satisfy Dedekind condition, infinite or direct infinite. If given a unit elements x and y, it's a ring with identity. If xy is 1, then yx must be 1 here. Equivalently, this means that L is not isomorphic in the sense of that module to any proper Dirac sum that L here. And for a non-unitary ring, with local units, we can generalize it. It's directly finite means given an unit elements xy with a local unit u, if xy equal to u implies yx equal to u. That same thing as saying the order u or u is a directly finite ring with the identity. Again, is the example. You can see that kxxn is directly finite. And for any positive integer and the matrix going over kxxn versus also directly finite. Again, we have one more graph property, which is called the any condition here. Namely, we noted that condition L says every cycle has an exit. The exactly opposite of it is the any condition. No cycle has an exit. And the theorem by way of art is that if V is an arbitrary graph, then the Leavitt path algebra is directly finite if and only if graph satisfy the any conditions. And in that case, path algebra can be shown to be directed union of finite Dirac sums of matrices of the form and then K. So here, I'm almost done. These are the list of references that I posted here. So quickly that here. These will be available later on. I think with that we need to stop. Thank you.
Any questions?
This DCC condition, which is proved by Nuran, Pune and Molina, does it, this basically says that this algebra is AF, right, in C star sense. So if I take my
DCC, did you say?
so if this result of Pino, Molina and Nuran says that an Leavitt path algebra is DCC if it is direct sum of finite matrix algebras.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that is an analog of AF algebras in C star algebras. So you say the C star algebra is AF if it is direct sum of.
Yeah.
So does this result have a generalization there? Because it seems
Generalization
like to C star algebra. So like this is stated for finite algebras, is it? This result?
No, when this is the whole, necessarily the graph is finite.
Yes. So the question is, so if the path is infinite, does this have a generalization? This result has a generalization to C star algebras?
We have a directed union.
Yeah, because AF algebras is not infinite dimensional.
Yeah, the ultramatricial
Ultramatricial.
was the algebraic condition that.
Yeah. See, for instance, if the graph has no cycles, in both in C-star algebra case and also in Levitt algebra case, it is automatricial. It's a directed union of finite Dirac sums of matrix space over the field.
So this is a known result.
So yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's true.
And what could be a reference?
Well, for the Levitt path algebra, I have this reference. You have the notes. The other one you might be able to get it.
Ian Rayburn's CBMS conference.
Yeah, that conference also has the book that I the earlier talk. We have a reference for that. You can take a look at it.
Okay. Thank you.
One final point, the reason why I focus on the prime and primitive thing, I will show how this property of Levitt path algebra enables us to solve a difficult problem of maths.
So my guess is that it's just one vertex and just one edge which goes around it. That's something. No,
See, I was not precise. I could have said take a connected graph. But because any graph, if it is not connected, it's a disjoint union of subgraphs. And the Levitt path algebra, such a graph always decomposes as a ring Dirac sum of Levitt path algebra for the sub-partitioning graph. So I should have mentioned take a connected graph. Suppose you have a connected graph, and here's the answer. Namely, the point I was trying to make is the Levitt path algebras are highly non-commutative, very rarely commutative. The reason is very obvious, because if a graph contains just one edge from U to V, and if this vertex is not equal to this vertex, then you could see already commutativity is violated, because you see that U times E by our defining relation is E. On the other hand, E times U, because U is not the range vertex of E, will be 0. So you see that if you have one edge where the range vertex is different from the source, then necessarily U not equal to E, then necessarily we get that U times E is not commutative. So if this is going to be commutative, and if there may not be any edge at all. If there is an edge, then necessarily that edge has got to be beginning and the end must be the same, namely must be a loop. And of course, if there are no edges, then there can be only one, because it's a connected graph, there can be only one vertex.